Hi. So I am currently doing an art residency, my first one, and I'm very, very excited about it. So Tools for Change residency happens at Maker Labs in East Vancouver. And the whole program is to teach women and non-binary people how to use power tools. So Maker Labs is like this crazy cool building. It has murals all around it. It's so cool. I used to pass it every day when I was living in North Van and coming downtown. It's so cool. And inside is just this like hubbub of activity. They have people who have their own studios. There's a wood lab, there's a metal lab, there's robotics, there's sewing, there's ceramics, there's just like all this stuff going on in this big building. It's so cool. So people have studios there and they also pay memberships, and then they get access to like all these power tools. So if you want to use a table saw or a router or ceramic studio, like they have all of that there on a membership basis, which is super cool. So they had looked at their membership and they realized that it was like 90% male. And they were like, oh, we really want it to be a bit more diverse. So that's why they started this residency, which so smart and so successful. It's now like 50-50. It's almost like we just need opportunities and some guidance. Honestly, if it wasn't for this residency, I still feel intimidated, but I would feel very, very intimidated going in this space. It's like a working Home Depot. Like there's wood everywhere and there's like people welding and sparks flying, like so much is happening. It's that same kind of intimidation at the gym. And I definitely feel that there, especially with power tools. Like I want to look like I know what I'm doing for my own safety and everyone else's. And so it can be like a bit intimidating. So I'm really, really glad to have this program that is guiding and teaching me. Basically how the program works, it's a 2-month residency. You spend your first month taking classes and learning how to use the tools, and the second month making things. So cool. I mean, obviously I'm making things now, but the second month is just focused on that. And at the end of the second month, you have a showcase. So far I'm about like halfway through my classes. So I've taken Wood Lab Part 1 and Part 2, where I learned how to use a table saw, the chop saw, the router, the nail gun, sanders, all that stuff. Super cool. And I completed my first project, which is this cute toolbox. My plan is to paint the toolbox multicolored, but then I went to do that the other day and I was like, oh, it's kind of cute, just the wood. But yeah, I finished my first project, and today I'm going to Maker Labs to learn laser cutting, which is the one I've been like the most excited about. I'm so excited to learn this. I'm so excited to like cut my own jewelry and keychains and use it for things in my business, engrave things. I am super excited for laser cutting. So that is my class tonight at 6. And then next week I learn how to use the CNC router, and then I've already taken like a ceramics orientation, so I've been doing some ceramic stuff too. I really want to do 3D printing as well. So with what I've learned so far, I already feel just like so inspired, and it feels good. It feels good to be like using my brain of thinking, and I'm like, okay, how do I construct this? And if I do this like this, and I do like this, and then I'm physically using my hands and my body to create stuff, and it's feeling so good. I'm so excited about it. I have a new sketchbook started specifically for this program, and I have been writing out a lot of notes as we learn things in the classes, and I've been doodling a lot of different ideas of things I want to make. I feel so creatively powerful right now. I just look on Pinterest at like any wooden object and I'm like, I can build that. More ideas. So now one of the things I'm working on is this wooden armrest to go on the couch. Paya, love her. You know, it's not just Paya, it was also Chester and Slate. Multiple cats have worked on it, but the couch is pretty scratched up on the edges. And I want to create like an armrest that I could put a cup on, also maybe use as a little bit table, but also cover up the damage that's been caused. So I have seen a lot of armrests that like go over it, but I want this to go in front as well. And then I spent a lot of time figuring out the math of this. I cut all of those pieces already, and I really hope I did a good job because I gotta start putting it together. I can't remember, but I did this huge market called Circle Craft a few years ago, and I made this custom booth. I don't have another use for this specific booth, so I'm now using that wood and deconstructing it and making it into new things, which is great. It's nice that I already have that wood that I paid for. So I'm using some of the unstained pieces to make these. We're here making a bunch of like ceramic charms. I also want to try to make my own ceramic plates, maybe a lamp. I don't know. I have like so many different ideas. So yeah, that is the update about the residency that I'm currently in, and I will be showing you more of the work that I'm working on in this video. So, see ya! My roommate had these bowls that I really liked, so I decided to use it as a template. So rather than making these on the wheel, I did them through hand building. So I took the plate and I wrapped it in plastic and just used that as my template. So I rolled out some clay until it was 1/4 inch thick. They have guides there which make it a lot easier to roll to that thickness. I then just laid my clay on top and used my hands to push it into shape. I wanted this like fingerprint texture. I don't know if I went like too hard on this. It looks a little bit like a moon crater, but I used my thumbs to make these finger imprints all over. It helps to like force the clay into the whole mold, and it helped to thin it out a little bit too. As you do the finger pressing, it does push some of the clay up, so then I just re-trimmed it on the edge. Even after it was dried, I did some sanding to smooth out the edges, and then it was ready to be fired. A lot of texture. I could leave them as is, but then like, so I flipped back. This was my original vision, and I think I'm still gonna do that, is make these really loose little doodles. This is really like what I'm envisioning, something very loose. So I'm gonna try. This is my workstation. Let's get going. Now I'm gonna work on my lamp. So I found this lamp base in someone's garbage as I was walking in my neighborhood, and it works. So I want to make this lamp that like has all these different citrus fruit on it. So there's like a grapefruit and then an orange and then a lemon on top. So I was hand building these. One way you can hand build is by taking paper towel or newspaper, wrapping it all into a ball,
and then forming your clay around it. The newspaper will then burn up in the kiln, leaving you with your shape. For this one, I needed a very specific size hole to fit over the lamp, so when it was a little bit more dry, I like carved out my shape. In doing that, I did break the lemon, so I had to rebuild that in a little bit of a different way the second time. As of right now, I'm still waiting on these to be fired, so they're not in their completed state just yet. The next thing I worked on was the laser cutter. I used the laser cutter a lot. I made a whole series of these different keychains. They're so cute. So I was cutting and engraving on these. I also used the laser cutter to make some custom commissions while I had the time. And I also made this picture frame. So I just drew my illustration on Procreate. I brought it into Illustrator, made it a vector, and then duplicated it to make it into this cute frame design, and then laser engraved it. I really love the laser cutter. I feel like there's just so much I can do with it. The last thing that I worked on was the CNC. I found the CNC to be so difficult to understand. It was such a big learning curve, more than any of the other machines. It's just more complicated. You're working in like 3D rather than 2D, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. It's just more complicated, and it used like a different system that I didn't know how to use. But I feel now so accomplished. I almost gave up on doing this entirely, but I pushed through, and I'm so happy with how this ended up. I made a series of shelves. The cool thing with the CNC is you can make these really custom shapes, and they turned out so cute. And actually, after the showcase, I went and created this plant stand. I've been working on this idea for like a little daisy table. I made it a bit smaller as I'm still kind of like prototyping it, but it also turned out so cute. So I'm so grateful now that I know how to use this software because it can make so many cool things, and I'm excited about all the stuff I'm going to make in the future with these programs.
Hello, hi. It is now the last day of my residency. Today is May 29th, and I started this art residency 2 months ago. It's coming to a close tonight with the big showcase. I still have my membership for the next week, and then I might extend longer because I didn't finish everything I had in mind. Of course, I was like overly ambitious today. Even today, the last day, I'm like, is there anything like else I want to make? And there are things I want to make. I just like, I think today I gotta just focus on the showcase and not like adding anything more. I still did plenty. Yesterday I made 5 shelves, so I think that I've done plenty for this show. Basically tonight is the big showcase, so it's gonna present everything that we've done so far. Me and Katie, my resident mate, will be putting on our showcase. So the theme I designed is make yourself at home, and I kind of want it to be like little like mid-century like soiree is kind of the vibe. The plan is that I'm going to be putting the shelves up on the wall, some of the stuff on the shelves. I'll be moving the couch over. The ends that go on my couch at home hopefully will fit on the chairs that are there. Lay some stuff out. I'll bring the keychains that I had made. I think I'm gonna have these for sale because the theme is like make yourself at home. And if anyone wants to buy them, they can. Within this residency, I took 5 classes and I had 2 months of like studio time, access to everything, and I made a wide variety of things. I made 4 plates. Those are in the kiln. Hopefully those will be done tonight. I made a bunch of charms. Those are in the kiln. Hopefully they'll be done. I tried wheel throwing. I still have a long ways to go with that. Nothing I made I was like satisfied with. Oh, I also am making a lamp. The lamp has not even gone through bisque firing yet, so it still has a ways to go. I do want to like maybe very gently show it, even though it's like still greenware. Okay, that was everything in pottery. Then I also learned the laser cutter. Used the laser cutter a lot. Obviously, I made all of these keychains. I made so many keychains. Then I also learned the CNC router. The CNC router was, whew, really difficult. Like that was the one class where like in the class we were like I feel like everything else I was like understood. This was like so hard. And Tan, the teacher, was like, okay, like it is really hard. It's a steep learning curve, but once you get it, and it's so much easier and so much faster. I kind of put off working on it until literally yesterday, the second to last day. And I nearly gave up so many times. I have been trying to work on it since like last week. I struggled with it. And then yesterday I finally was like on the CNC, and then I was still struggling so much. It just made me feel like an idiot. But I did it. So even though it took me like maybe the first one like 5 to 7 hours or something, the next ones I got done in like half an hour each. So I do get it now. I totally understand it. I understand it now. And I do understand that like, yeah, it's a steep learning curve, but once you get it, you get it. So there's a lot more now that I would like to make on the CNC now that I know what I'm doing. And really that's the idea of the residency, is just to learn how to use it. Pretty much everything I made in the program I used out of scraps that I already had or that I found around Maker Labs. All the keychains, this was all on scrap acrylic. And all of the shelves I made on scrap wood that I found. I made the ends from scrap wood that I had. The clay was even scrap clay. So everything I made for this residency was out of recycled material that I got for free, except the clay. The clay was recycled, but I did have to pay for it. It's basically $8 for like a thing of recycled clay versus $50 for a new batch of clay. I would maybe make these shelves bigger, but I designed them exactly to fit on this scrap piece of wood that I had, and I'm so proud of how I did that. This scrap wood, it had a crack in it, like maybe someone had thrown it away because they cut it, I don't know exactly why, but they all had this line through it. And I designed this to fit exactly like in the line to use the max amount of this wood, and I nailed it. 3D printing class also from Tan last night, and it was very, very good. I'm excited to use that a lot more. The only problem with the 3D printer is how long it takes, and at Maker Labs you have to be there the entire time it's printing, which can be like a long time. So I am gonna have to think that through a bit more of what I want to make with it, but it was very exciting to use it yesterday and learn how to clear out the gallery, set everything up. I'm also making mocktails and set that up. Nicole is actually gonna come help me, bless. So everything should be coming together. I really, really love this residency. If you look back a couple videos, I did a whole video about how I lost my dream job, which was extremely disheartening. I'm still sad about it if I think about it, which is why I'm thinking about it. And it just put me into quite a depression real quickly. I was spiraling instantly. And then even when I got out of like the really bad panic spirals, I just felt so depressed, so hopeless, so directionless, just completely defeated. Yeah. I was in a really bad place. You'll see that in that video, but I was not doing well at all. And basically like right away, I was trying to think of other things I want to do with my life. Like if I'm not, at first all I could think is just that I want to be at this job, and I can't be at this job. I literally can't. And I was like, okay, but is there anything else you're interested in? Is there anything else you care about? And one of the first things I thought about was this residency. I had been wanting to do it basically since it started. In 2018 is when the residency started, and my good friend Cynthia did it that year. And I remember when she did it, and that was like the full motivation for me to do this program. And I thought about it like year after year after year, and I just never applied and never went to do it. And so like, I think 2 weeks into my depression, I applied. And then I just left it, and then the ball started rolling real quick. I got in, I was in, so it got rolling really, really quickly, and it is exactly what I needed. Like, it has given me so much purpose and direction, and instead of my mind just spiraling about everything going wrong, I'm thinking like, okay, how can I make this fit? How can I mechanically make this work? How can I do this? How can I do that? And I love those thoughts. I'd love to have my busy brain that's always going, thinking about things like that, rather than thinking about how the world is on a path to destruction. So I'm just trying to think positively and think about all these things I want to make, and I just feel like I have so much creative power now. There's so many more things I can make. And I'm just feeling so excited. So I think if you're in a rut, if you're in a creative block, if you're in an artist rut, like, I would recommend doing this residency if you're in Vancouver, or doing any sort of creative residency wherever you are. It'll give you that direction and that momentum, and I just highly recommend. So I'm gonna go work on my showcase today, and I'll show you how it turns out. Okay, bye.